Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, we've got a special edition podcast for you today. We have an interview, guys.
Ooh.
Whomst is our interview with?
We are chatting with Mary Armendarez from the Power Retrieval podcast today.
Yeah. So come along for this ride. It's going to be fantastic, and we will see you on the other side. Welcome, Mary. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Thanks for having me on. I am super excited to talk to you two because I can tell you're a powerhouse couple that are
Flattery gets you everywhere.
Huh?
Flattery will get you everywhere.
So I was raised just like John, Catholic, and with 9 other brothers and sisters, and I was the baby girl. So it was pounded into us that, I was scared of God when I was a kid, scared to death of God. And when I'd go to church, I never felt loved. I was like, what is this? Why are we reading the same crap over and over again? Then some guys telling, things that I don't even understand. And they never really ever talked about the angels ever because I had no idea about angels either. So I was the weird kid in my family. I was the youngest girl. My mom and dad, they had a house that was over 100 years old in Pacific Grove, California. And I could feel the energies as a young kid. I could feel the negative energy. I could feel everybody's energy. We didn't have a television, nothing. And I look back and I go, wow, I used to see the house bleed, right? I used to see the house bleed. I could feel the darkness in the house. Weird stuff would happen to me constantly. They called me the weird kid. But as I grew up, I ended up having a baby at 17 at all girls Catholic school, 17 years old. And here came the shame, the guilt, the blame, no confidence, just unworthy. All of those feelings were building up within me. And I couldn't even tell my parents I was pregnant. That's how scared. Can you imagine being that age?
Actually, I can.
It's so
I
crazy,
have there's a similar story of that in my family as well, because while I was not raised religious, my mother and my aunts and uncles were also raised Catholic. And my mother had a child when she was in high school also, although she was in public school. She had been in Catholic school when she was younger, through 8th grade or something like that. So yeah, but I didn't find out about it for years.
Yeah. Because it's a big no-no. It's a big no-no, right?
Yeah.
So
and just to think about how it affected the course of her life and everything, it breaks my heart that people use religion in that way.
Yeah. But you know what? I've known now, growing up now and going through what I went through. Well, let me stop there. I ended up marrying a man who was 15 years older than me. Okay. So I'm 20 years old now. I have a 2-year-old. I marry a 15-year-old man, 15-year-old. and he just had complete control on me. Why? Because I gave my energy away. I gave my power away, and I felt unworthy. I felt dirty. I felt all these things. So I just basically whatever, you tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. I was with the man for 20 years. My daughter, that I had back then, she was, I don't know, about 28 or something. She goes, Mom, you need to read this book on the angels. You guys, I picked up that book and started reading that book, and I could start to feel the instant connection that I used to have as a kid. And I went, holy shit, I do not need to be living in this fear and anxiety and keep giving my energy away to everybody else. I'm depleted. And I was a big bright light, and he couldn't handle that at all. He was like, no, we're going to step on her a little bit more, put her down a little bit more. And so I started to build up my confidence and start meditating. And I realized, holy cow, all of us are constantly leaking our energy. Every thought, every emotion, every anger, every time you're jealous, every time you're thinking in the past, you're thinking in the future, you are leaking your energy, and it absolutely depletes you. And that's when the good old illness starts coming in, because we don't know how to control our mind. So I ended up divorcing him and finding the most amazing human being that walked into my life. It was like a miracle. And he gave me the space for me to develop who I am today. So it was like I had to go through all this shit to get to that point where I can go, oh, okay, I can start helping others because I've been through all this trauma and giving my energy away and going from man to man to man. So that's basically my journey. That's where I am today. So now I help teach people how to retrieve your power, and that the power lives within us, and people don't understand that the power is so strong. We are so freaking strong that all we have to do is start tapping in and forgiving those things that we guilt and that shame that we hold down, that we've been programmed since kids, and start calling that energy back. Start calling that sexual energy that you didn't want to sleep with. How many times do you sleep with people you didn't want to? Especially women, because we were like, oh, okay, we got to give it in, right? But you're leaking your energy. You're giving your stuff away. So basically that's where I am today. So it's kind of exciting. It's a cool journey.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested in how you mentioned that you can sense energies, and then you talked about leaking power. So tell me a little bit more about your how you sort of discovered that power was leaking, and how you can kind of like plug that up.
Right. So how did I discover that? I discovered that through working with the angels, because I work with the 12 archangels from the central sun, and you call on one angel, they all come, right? When you call on ascended masters, they'll all come. But if you want to work with one particularly, yeah, you'll feel the energies coming through. So I learned that when my mind was constantly on that hamster wheel and I was thinking, oh my God, the past is going to come back, that's mainly where we're always at. We're always in the past, or we're always in the future. And I realized that it was draining me. It was absolutely draining me. You know how you have your friends and family that, oh my God, I can't sleep. Why can't you sleep? Because I can't turn off my brain. So you're leaking that, you're right, because you're thinking, and then you're exhausted and you're full of anxiety and fear. Well, guess what? Energy doesn't die, never dies. So it's out there. So we can learn how to call that energy back. And you can feel it once you start doing it over and over again. It's just like opening a sacred space, or doing all your herbalist and all those things. You get more powerful, and you can bring that energy back. Because our energy right here on planet Earth, this is the only planet where we come and we have all the junk from our past lives. So you can call that energy back. Like when you're working on your spells and your herbalist things, you call on the energy from your past lives of when you were doing all your spells and all your fun stuff. You call that energy, and you get stronger and stronger. So that's how I learned, hey, energy doesn't die. You have the ability within yourself, because you are a creator, and you have the strength to bring it all back.
I love that.
That's
That
awesome,
reminds me
yeah.
a lot of this thing that you keep talking about that you heard from Alan Watts.
So Alan Watts has this quote. I love that guy so much, man. Oh.
Well, I'm going to look him up, because I'm going to write him down and his name down.
I've listened to a lot of his lectures. He's like kind of like new wave 70s, 60s kind of.
I think 50s through
is it
70s.
50 through 70s?
Yeah.
So
like
he
philosopher.
Like philosopher, yeah. He has this, but he's very inspired by like Eastern philosophy. So it's like very Alan Watts, Ram Dass. They're sort of in the same energy space. But Alan Watts has this saying where, and I'm paraphrasing, but where like when you live in the future, you have anxiety, and if you live in the past, you have depression, right? And like self-doubt. And the key to overcoming those things is to live in the present, right? And try and live as close to the now as possible, which is sort of very inspired by like Eastern meditation, right? The idea that you don't need to worry about the future and you don't need to dwell in the past, but like live in the moment and accept the moment clearly, right? And you're sort of freed by all that dragging negativity behind you and all this dread of what is to come.
Right. So how do we do that? You know
Well,
how
isn't that the $1 million question, right?
how do we do that? The first thing, and I know you two know this, the first thing is to go out to nature. The first thing I do in the morning is I go stand outside and I go, because Mother Earth, what is Mother Earth? Earth is our true mother here. She's our mother. And look at the abundance. That's what another thing we should talk about is abundance. There's no lack. Do you see what she provides for us? People don't understand. Their angels are coming in. They don't understand how much abundance she gives us. Everything in our homes is from her. It's not coming from heaven. It's coming from her. All the elements, everything is coming from her. So she's our mom. So I go out because I didn't have the nurturing mom. She never was nurturing. She should have never had 10 kids, right? But I signed up for her. And so I go out and I go, hey, mom, I'm releasing all the fear, the doubt, and the anxiety that I am carrying. I released it down to you. And just saying those simple words is bringing you into the present moment. And then I just ask her to fill me up. And then I love to just imagine all my legs are just in the dirt with her. And that is a great way to stay in the present moment. And then when that mind starts going crazy, I go, I surrender. I surrender to my higher self. I surrender, because you're taking that yourself out of the going in the future and going into the past. And another really cool thing I love to teach my people is that you walk in your imagination. And if you don't see it, doesn't matter. But I have them walk to a bridge, and there's a golden stream going underneath the bridge, and you're holding a book. And the title of the book is Expectations of My Future. Expectations of my future. Because that's all we're like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? I need to go to a psychic. I need to do this. I need to know. No. Guess what? You're not supposed to know. That's part of being on earth. You're not supposed to know. So you take the book of my future expectations, and sometimes it's really hard, and you throw it into the water. And sometimes it doesn't want to go. You're like, shake, let go. You throw it in the water, and then you jump in the water after, and you go, I surrender. And it's a beautiful way to get your mind back to, let's be in the present moment, right? Isn't that cool?
I love that.
I like that. Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned going out like outside first thing in the morning and just reconnecting with nature. I've talked about this on previous episodes of the podcast as well. And, you know, and on like some of my social media, I do that fairly frequently, where it's just like a morning meditation. You have coffee, stand outside for 5 minutes. Honestly, even if you're living in like a standard American infill neighborhood, right? You've got a tree or some grass or, you know, whatever front yard energy you've got going on. Leave your house 30 seconds, a minute and a half earlier than you normally would to get to your car, and just like stand outside next to your car. If that's what you got available to you, it's totally fine. But just like listen. You know, that's like my thing is just like I'll stand outside generally with a cup of coffee, because I'm a big coffee drinker, and just like listen to the trees, listen to the birds, listen to the wind, just like find meditation in the sounds and smells and sensations of nature. This grounds you back to an understanding that goes back infinitely through human history, which is just us participating in nature.
Well, and not just participating, but also like reveling in the thing that nature is. We recently talked about this on an episode where it was about connecting with the seasons, because everybody has a season that they like love and everybody has a season that they don't like. And living where we live, I've actually sort of become to appreciate all of the seasons equally, because, you know, I go out and I let the dogs out in the morning and again at night, and I just take a few minutes to just really like take it in, you know, the spider webs in the trees or whatever the chickens are doing, and just sort of like take a moment and just sort of like bask in the infinite love and wisdom, not to sound too cliche, of the earth and our mother, and sort of like what she's bringing us, and just sort of like let that moment like lighten the load.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But
Well, nature is grounding, right? I mean,
mhm,
literally, we call it ground
for a
in the
reason.
electrical circuit for a reason, right? Every house has a big copper, like a 10-foot copper rod pounded into the earth to ground the electricity in your house, right? I mean, these are like standard building code kind of thing. So, like, I mean, we understand intrinsically this is still a part of our lexicon, but it's sort of lost while we're, like you're talking about this like book of the future, this book of like expectations. The problem is that we look so anxiously forwards that we kind of lose track of like where we are in the moment. And without making the active participation of trying to learn from nature, simply observing it, the act of observation feeds that like program in our mind, right, that wants us to understand, right? So from that we connect greater with nature just because we're having those moments of meditation in it. I'm a big gardener, I'm an avid gardener, and
Mhm,
I always like tell people, like, just get a plant. If you go to the store, get a plant.
mhm,
It's going to teach you to pay attention. It's going to teach you to stop for like
mhm.
5 seconds and just like notice the soil in the plant, right? I completely disagree with the structure of like regular plant watering. You got to water it twice a week. Way too much work, dog. I don't, I have no capacity for that in my mind. It's just like every time you walk past this plant, pay attention, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you learn to like feel that plant, like, where does it need water, does it need nutrients, does it, is it not getting enough sun in this particular window, or,
Yeah.
or whatever.
No, and it's the same thing too. If like we were talking, like say you live in an apartment and you can't go outside, just looking at a tree on the photograph on your wall, become one with that tree. Pretend your hands are touching that tree, just like a house plant. To go and talk to that house plant. And if you stare at the house plant long enough, you're going to start seeing the energy around the house plant. So it's everywhere, and people don't get it.
Yeah,
You don't get it, and you're connected. We're all connected. Oh, you're psychic, or you're this, or you're that. It's like, no, we all are. We're all the same. We all have the same power. It's if you are willing and you allow yourself to start tapping in to what is already available to you. The magic's in you.
yeah.
So stop. And the nature is the greatest way to go out. Go put your back up against the tree. Go sit on the ground. You know what I love to do? Oh man, when I'm having a really rough time, because I am a huge hiker, I go and I lay flat on my belly. And so you should see some of the hikers that come by. They're like, what the hell is this chick doing? Flat on my back with my face down. And sometimes it's so emotional, you start crying and you don't even know where this is coming from because she is our mom. She's taken away all our crap and she's transmuting it and she's bringing in more loving energy. It's just so powerful just to be out there. It's my greatest thing. And working with the elements, the nature angels, I mean, everything, the nature angel lives in the house plant. The nature angel, what is a nature angel? It is creating that energy within that plant, right? How is that plant growing? It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
all around us.
It is. It reminds me of the ancient Egyptian concept of Ka, which is that everything has magic, everything has a soul, everything has a spirit associated with it. Everything is inherently magical. And that's sort of the way that they lived their lives in like ancient, particularly the older pieces of ancient Egypt, before they really had developed a lot of the religious concepts that we're more familiar with as like modern Americans, and also before like as much cultural bleed from the Greeks and the Romans coming in. Like they really believed that everything was magical. And I think as modern humans, and particularly as modern Americans, we are so tapped into this idea of what I like to call like cultural, like capitalist Christianity as our sort of like
Mhm.
religion here, that we like but that we forget that there is inherent magic in a lot of the little things and in everything. But we also sort of believe that people who lived in ancient times were dumb. And yes, it does make sense that people created mythos and these spiritual and religious beliefs to help to make sense and understand the world around them, but they weren't dumb. They just didn't have the same technology as we do now, so they're just understanding it on a different plane. And I think about that a lot, almost every day. I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that really kind of ties into the energy is in everything, and I try to see that in everything. And my problem is more that I can't turn it off rather than needing to turn it on.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
right.
it's the I say this way more often than I probably reasonably should, but it's like we can't remember what it's like not to know.
You're right.
Right.
Because it's gone. It's been wiped from us.
Yeah, knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
the bright light of knowledge blocks out the like visible things only perceived in shadow, right?
Yep.
If you're using a nail gun all day long, you forget how to swing a hammer well, right? If you're using a power saw, a chop saw or something like that all day, you forget how to use a hand saw. It's not that you can't, you'll figure it out, right? But we sort of live in this place where like we have so much stuff vying for our attention, right? And like calling us to like pay attention here. It's so many bright lights surrounding us that we forget the like sort of like simple, calm monotony of like meditative tasks, and it's so funny, like connecting with nature like that. Like the meme that has come out in the last couple of years of go outside and touch grass is humorous from like a standard internet standpoint, but at the same time it treats so heavily to this like basic human understanding that we need to be involved in nature somehow and interact with nature, and we have strayed so far from the path that we have to remind people that grass exists and they should go near that stuff. It's crazy. And I understand that I live in the woods, so it's different.
And also,
I have to
we
go
don't
touch grass every day.
technically have
Well,
grass
yeah,
here,
that's
but
true.
that's its own thing.
So funny. That is,
but like it's crazy that we have to remind people of these things.
I know. Well, the problem is that there is so much, and everybody is so greedy. Like you see so much greed right now, and so much fear right now. And I'm not going to have enough, and I'm not going to have this, and I'm not going to have that. And they're so trying to keep up with the Joneses instead of just worrying about me. I'm number one. And then your relationship is second with your spouse, partner, whatever. But people forget that I'm number one, and I have to self-care and self-love myself and self-honor myself. And what do I need? I don't need new clothes. I don't need new makeup. I need to know who I am. Because that's what we're missing here. And the number one lie that we have here is that we're not connected. We're not connected to source, whatever, God, whatever you want to call it. That's the number one lie that we've been pounded on, right? You better pay me because I'm the one who's going to help you tell the big guy in the sky that you need money for your children or whatever. That's the number one lie that we're dealing with. So the fear factor is huge. We're all running around with fear. We're vibrating fear. So when you're vibrating fear, you can't be in the present moment. You forget about nature. You could care less. What are people doing? They're ripping out their gardens and putting fake grass in, John. It's like, what the hell, man?
It's a bold strategy.
Yeah. And you know what's sick too? Really, do we need more apartments? Do we need more condos? These kids have no backyards anymore.
Yeah.
They're all tapped into this phone. And I was blown away what these kids are seeing. Killing, blood, all of these on these videos. And, I was talking to my husband the other day with all the war, and it's all over Twitter. It's all over all that crap. You're seeing people dead. You're seeing like all this stuff, and it doesn't even affect us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the desensitization to knowledge that should have significantly more impact. But we've just, because of the
well, the interconnectedness that we have these days with social media and news on demand and having, high-speed internet and smartphones and all that stuff.
It's the propaganda of attention, right? The propagandization of attention, because like this company wants you to spend your seconds of like visual time paying attention to their website. They're gonna try and shock and awe, right? It's sort of like it's like the hyper personification of like information blitzkrieg, right?
Yeah.
Where we're constantly getting screamed at in like colors and sound bites and geez, this like insane visuals and the most absurd and sometimes grotesque moments of human existence, just because it's gonna make you look, right? It's the like you can't turn away from a car accident energy.
It's also manipulation. I do social media professionally, so that is an incredibly difficult task to do, not just because social media is, it requires, when you're doing it professionally, it requires all kinds of different things, strategy and planning and all these myriad of sort of jack of all trades things. But social media in and of itself, although I do enjoy it, I see it professionally for what it is, which is an interesting thing an interesting perspective I didn't have before I did it professionally. And it's manipulation. And I understand what the algorithm is doing. It doesn't want you to go to posts that tell you to click out of the app because it wants to use up all that time, all that space, all that energy, like actual electricity energy, but also all of your mental energy. So like when you go on social media after you're done, are you on there for longer than you expected you were going to be? Did you go, I'm only going to look at one more post, and then you scroll through 7? And do you feel drained when it's done? Do you feel fear? And it takes you through this like really grotesquely speeding up news cycle where there's always a new catastrophe happening. And every day it's a new catastrophe. And we live in an area of California where we have had some natural disasters. And I remember seeing our area on the news, like national news for these disasters. And then the next day, boom, new disaster. Boom, new disaster, new disaster, new disaster. And it really like takes a lot out of you, just like being alive at this point in time, so taking those like moments to like really ground yourself are so important, because it's the recharge. You can't continue, you can keep using your phone until you get down to like 1%, but we're like a battery that can't go below 1%, right? And you need to plug in, you need to recharge. And I think that grounding and finding who you are within yourself so you can better understand what you need to recharge, because my recharge is way different than his recharge and would be different than your recharge, is like really important.
No, so that's a great point to come up with, because empaths, I have a sister that's she's super empathic, and she doesn't even realize she is. And she watches all of this and she'll cry and she feels it. And I'm telling you, the diseases that are coming to her are horrible. The things are coming because she doesn't even know how to clear it. She doesn't even know what's going on. But that's happening to so many people in our society. You got to back up on that time watching that news and those horrible images. I mean, but when you go to bed at night and you watched a scary movie and you have those dreams, it's in there. You're feeling that it's crazy. And then when you go to the astro field, you're getting more of that scary stuff coming in because it's in your field. So you're collecting more of it.
You're
attracting it like a magnet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
I look at it as this like part of like a system of balance, right? We all have different balance points in the like 3-dimensional space. It's like gravity orbiting, like something orbiting a gravitational body, right? Some people, just because I can watch a lot of news and somebody else can't watch a lot of news, doesn't mean that either path is necessarily right. But we have to find the point at which, and like I'm definitely the person who's like on, I'm on social media all the time. Twitter is literally always open on my computer, so I can read the news. I genuinely love reading political news.
So does my husband, John. So does my husband.
I don't know why. It's so fascinating to me. I mean, it's a
Yes.
little depressing because these people are like very stupid, but like concerningly stupid sometimes. But like, I love reading that stuff. I am also the person who will like be doing stuff outside and then come inside and doing stuff. And it's like 9 o'clock at night and I'm looking around like, where is my phone? And I go outside and my phone is on the roof of my car where I was chopping wood 5 hours ago. And I just completely forgot about it.
But see, John, the difference is between you is that you're able to watch all this and discern it, and you're not letting it get in your energy field. But my friend, what you're doing is you're going out into nature. So what are you doing? You're releasing that stuff and you're putting your hands in the dirt or doing whatever you love to do outside. So that's a difference. You're able to balance that. But most people aren't. Because what are they doing? They're going to work all day. They're driving somewhere. Now they're listening into their radio in their car, and then they're coming home, turning on the news. How about the people that have TV in every room? I'm like, what the heck, man? I got in a car accident. I still have a thing on my lip. And I said to my husband, because I came home from the emergency, and I said, okay, you can bring the little TV into the bedroom. That's the only time. And as soon as I was well, I'll get that TV out of my room. But it's just crazy how we're so addicted to it. We're addicted.
Yeah. Well, and I don't even know that it's necessarily just TV. It's just sort of this like idea of what a modern life should be.
Yeah.
And I don't think that
engineered entertainment.
Yeah, well, and I don't think that really any generation, any time frame has a different I mean, while the set and setting may be different, we still have the same problems in the 50s, in Victorian times, in medieval times. Yeah. There's always this like expectation that comes from just sort of miasmic society that tells people how they should be living and how they have to be living in order to reach the, like, you know, carrot in the sky, whatever your personal vision of the afterlife that you desire is. And I think that people get real caught up in that. And I think that it's particularly a problem nowadays. We have a lot of people that listen to this podcast that come from or were raised in like very strict religious backgrounds, like very strict Catholic, very strict fundamentalist or Baptist or Protestant, like some very strict stuff. And as someone who was not raised in religiously because of my mom's own issues that she had with the church, it breaks my heart, really. It does, that these people have been raised in such a hateful environment. And I think that it's so easy for humans to turn to hate. It's so easy for humans to turn to fear and not to actually like sit down and like unpack and deal with these things. That it's so important to go and do grounding, like you had told them, like, it's because you're touching the earth.
Yeah. Well, I look at this as a function of sort of hyper generalization, right? We get in this place where instead of like, if we're having this conversation and we're trying to sort of teach the lesson, educate the masses, right? You start with this, like, you need to find these practices and you need to find the thing that fits with you and all that. And there becomes this sort of lackadaisical feedback loop where we start talking about generalizations. For me, it's whatever, 30 minutes of meditation a night. Therefore, that's what you should do to get to the place where you want to be. But that doesn't mean that you should be meditating. I know a bunch of people who cannot meditate, like, at all. No connection to meditation. It's impossible, right? And that's totally fine, because for them, meditation is riding a motorcycle. Meditation is working a lathe. Like, I just started doing black work. It's like a type of cross stitch. Had never done it before. Time ceases to exist for me when I'm doing that. Man, I was cross stitching until like 1:30 in the morning yesterday.
Yeah.
Literally last night.
Yeah,
I
literally
love
last night.
that.
Like no sense of time for me.
You're a man of all sorts of cool talents.
You know what? I feel like everything in life can be a lesson. Whether that lesson is good or bad is entirely up to you. But like, just I don't know. I like learning new things.
Yeah,
You know,
it's so
I'm
important.
a student of life.
You know what? And that's a big thing too. People don't have a hobby anymore. They don't pick up and they don't do anything that they love because they're so dun, 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 dun. I have to do this, I have to do that because I have to make more money and I have to do this and that. And the creativity energy is not there anymore. You see it all the time. And then you're wondering why people are getting divorces. They're miserable, they're depressed. It's because they're not doing anything for their inner self to grow and be happy. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be happy, damn it.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well,
yeah,
and
that's a tough one.
we live in such such a fulfilled time, right? We have access to so many things. I mean, you know, I regularly think about like if you were to somehow like transport somebody from the dark ages into like a modern American neighborhood, they would go instantaneously mad with just the amount of stuff available at any given moment, right? And
let alone giving them a pumpkin spice latte.
oh my god, yeah,
Yeah, they would die.
tastes like lightning. But like, you know, it's we talk about this fairly regularly. Sometimes you kind of get overwhelmed with the idea that you don't have time to do all the things that you want to do. But I find that more often than not, whenever we start to feel that like there's 110 things I have to do and I only have time to do, you know, 80 things or whatever, like I don't have time for all the things I want to do, it's because we're not prioritizing the things that would be most beneficial to us. Because it's like, well, I want to do this, but some social rule or whatever says this, I need to do this also. Well, but do you need to, or honestly sometimes even want to do that thing? Like I get when the laundry basket's full, you got to do laundry. It's
right.
obvious, everybody gets it. But do you need to do laundry right now? Because if you're feeling a little stressed out, you know what? Draw a bath, throw the laundry in there before you go to bed.
Yep.
You're going to say throw the laundry in the bath.
No.
I was just like, oh no, this is why you don't do the laundry.
But you know, I mean, it's like for me, the like cleanest example of this that I've sort of internalized is scheduled meals. I don't eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at regular times. I understand that that's important and whatever.
Yeah.
But also sometimes I skip breakfast and lunch. Not because I'm trying to count my calories or some nonsense like that, but it's like if I'm doing something outside or I'm working on a project or whatever, like I understand that it's 1 o'clock. I understand that it's like the scheduled time that we're told, you know, like it's lunchtime or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to do this, and then in an hour or two, I'm going to do lunch. But if I'm hungry and it's bloody 10 o'clock in the morning and I just got done with breakfast, I'm going to have second breakfast.
Hey, I'm the same way. I'm exactly the same way. You know, because we starve ourselves. We starve ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally all the time. And you're right on that. Absolutely. People need to start tapping in and going, hey, what do I need? What do I feel?
Yeah.
Those are powerful things to start figuring out what I need.
Well, and I think that people also starve themselves spiritually, which leads me to, I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to hear more about your work with angels, because I feel like there's a lot of very polarizing feelings about the like Abrahamic religions as a whole. And I'd really love to hear about how you sort of like reclaimed that part of yourself and how you work with angels today.
Okay. So I work with the 12 archangels from the central sun. So the central sun is source, whatever. Everybody has their own name. Some people, I love it, make up their whole name, could name it Joan. And I think that's awesome. Right. Because we have Catholic beliefs, you were like, oh, it's a man. It's
yeah.
Like, yeah. So the angels, so what I've learned is that source started as a creator, right? Source is creating. He's always there. It's always creating. And it created this angelic kingdom. Now, the angelic kingdom, there's 12 angelic kingdoms. And the angelic kingdom is here for us to remember that fear is an illusion and all there is love. And so that is why planet Earth was created. So we were separated, the illusion that we all have, the amnesia we have, that we're not separated, right? Like I talked about earlier, it's the biggest lie we know is that we think that we're not separate from. It's like having 12 hairs on your head and thinking that they're not part of us, right? So the angels, what I have learned and believe and work with the energy is, are in our solar system. Okay. So we've got the angels in each part of it. And you know how you astrology, you go through and you read your chart and you're like, oh yeah, I am going through this. I am learning this lesson. Some of us can go, who cares, right? But you can call on the power in of the angels in the solar system to start bringing in the energies. So for instance, Archangel Morgan is the moon. That's how I know her name is the moon. So let's back up. All of us are made with feminine and masculine energy, right? Light and sound. Light is your masculine and sound is the emotion, right? The feminine. So the angels are made exactly the same energy. And once you, so, okay, I got kind of off track here. So Archangel
go as
Morgan,
far off track as you want to.
yeah. Okay, so Archangel Morgan is the energy of the moon. So when you work, you probably work with the moon, and the moon is super powerful. What is it powerful with? Your intuition, clearing things that no longer necessary. So what I've been taught to do is being able to go up to the moon and visit with this archangel, right? So when you see the moon, you think of it as this hard, dense, crusty looking thing. But when you let the veil part and you go in and you really take a look at the moon, it's this blue, smoky kind of gray color. And then once you start calling in her energy, hey, because I call her Grandma Morgan, because Mother Earth and the moon, right?
Yeah.
We need these two to keep balance. So once you start calling her, she's Mother Earth's mama. So when you call on her, that's some powerful energy that you're going to. So I love to go up and step and I bathe in her waters. And it's just the most amazing energy. And then you've got like each angel has each planet has an angel associated to it. So I just learned how to come in, call them in. First, I open up my sacred space with air, fire, earth, water, and then the ether. I actually even made cards. These cards are actually going out today. See how cool this is?
Ooh,
Okay.
cool.
I teach people how to open up their sacred space. So we'll go through this really quick. Air is associated with Archangel Gabriel. What does Archangel Gabriel do? This angel is the angel of communication, right? Air. Breathing in that air. I call on the power of the air. I call on Archangel Gabriel. I did it before you and I got on this call. I did this whole thing, ritual. And I say, please open up the angel airwave so I can connect with my angels and guides, with your angels and guides, so we can have a beautiful conversation and whatever energy needs to come through today, that we can help at least one person, right? So that's Archangel Gabriel. Pretty cool, huh? And then we go to the east. We go to fire. What's fire? Who is fire? Archangel Michael, badass Archangel Michael comes in. And Archangel Michael, I asking Archangel to bring in our creative energy in the belly, right? Because that's where your soul powers from, your confidence, your creative energy. So when you call on this is huge. So we're just opening up our sacred space. Earth, Mother Earth. I release all anxiety, fear, whatever. Help me stay grounded. Help me stay positive. So this all the divine feminine energy is working with Mother Earth, right? So you can call an Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Uriel, whatever. I just call him up. Hey, Mom, I'm really messed up today. Come and help me. Help me to stay grounded. And then we call on the power of the West. Now, the West is Archangel Raphael. And I'm sure Raphael comes in with you a lot when you're putting together your healing spells and all your tinctures and all those things, because that's the angel of healing, right? The angel that's going to come in and help healers, artists, all of that, emotion, water. So it's pretty cool. Then the ether. What's the ether? The ether is awesome. So ether is bringing the energies of heaven to earth, earth to heaven, right? Because we have the ability to be happy every single day if we choose to be in the present moment. Because like we talked about earlier, we're always in the past, we're always in the future. So ether is Archangel Metatron. So when Metatron comes in, you ask him to bring all the elements together to open up your sacred space, to bring these beautiful energies into your home. I do it when I go to on vacation in hotels, because people's energies are in there.
Yeah.
You're walking into all sorts of weird stuff that's been going on in these rooms. So you need to learn how to clear that space, to open up, to meditate, to heal, to sing, to do whatever you want. So they're super powerful when you start calling on, and people don't get it. We have a whole team of guardian angels. We have our guides. We have access to all the angels. We have access to the ascended masters, to the goddesses, all of it. But guess what? We don't call on that power ever. And we need to start doing that. You know how everybody goes, oh, the parking angel helped me get that parking space? Guess what? They can help in marketing. They can help in getting your house clean. They can help in your relationships. They can help in your health. So there's just so much that we can do. But the first step is to call on them, because they're just sitting back. I always tell everybody, they're sitting back with a smoke, having their coffee, and they're on, when is Mary going to call? When is she going to call on her help? We've been following her around and she keeps screwing up. When am I going to call on them? And then as soon as you call, they're like, all right, let me put out my smoke. Here we go. So it's awesome.
I love that. I definitely call on the like angel or like spirit or deity of sewing when I'm working on a particularly, I do a lot of costuming and a lot of sewing. I make my own clothes and a variety of things. And I definitely call upon them, but I don't have like a name for them. I know that cosmic energy is there. And I'm just like, oh, please help me figure out how to put this sleeve together. Like it's there, definitely.
No, and it works. It's amazing. All of us, like this morning, I was outside. I do the same thing you do. I go outside with my coffee and I have my coffee. I talk to the plants, Mother Earth. I say hello, good morning to everybody. And I was like, where's my crystal? I go, guides, angels, can you help me find my crystal? I'm not kidding you. I walk in, already made my bed. Walk in, my crystal sitting on my bed. And I was like, thanks, guys. Simple.
Yeah, we definitely have moments like that too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And people think that you need to be like the psychic, crazy, this, that. No. We all have the power. That's it. We all have the power. So start using it.
Yeah, definitely. It really is just a function of like connection and effort. You know, it's just like we have to choose to like forge ahead on those paths, as it were, for like the betterment of us. And as we improve it, you know, it's the truest form of trickle down economics. If we improve ourselves, everybody around us is like more open, and you know, we're not bringing our baggage into our coworkers or our friend group or our family group or whatever. So instead of being part of the like current train of culture and society where we all kind of drag each other down, right? We get to like act in this place of like lifting each other up, right? Whether that's like like effectively trying to help a friend with a problem, or just I have this, I don't know, curse maybe is what it is, where anytime I'm in like almost any store whatsoever, people ask me where stuff is. Like I have been in we have a Home Depot up here. It's like the big box store for like construction supplies and stuff. And I've been in the Home Depot in like a purple kilt and like a pink dress shirt, right? Definitely not this orange store's, colors. And somebody be like, "Oh, excuse me, I'm looking for this item." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's over on aisle 7 or whatever." And like they'll go and I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you have asked me that? Do I look like I work here right now? Like, I have no problem with helping people, right? I'm overly helpful probably, but like, why me, dog? Like, that's
It's
so crazy.
Because you're approachable, honey.
That's probably what it is, yeah. Also, I've definitely been like walking past an aisle and heard an employee trying to explain a thing and just interrupted. Like, all right, these are the screws you need.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
These are what you need. Don't listen to that.
You need to talk to the man in the purple kilt.
Yeah. We call it stranger talking. I do it too.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you do. I can see it all day long. You two are like a dynamic duo. You guys are perfectly matched for each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, we are starting to run out of time, so I want to make sure that we can talk a little bit about what you're doing. So tell our listeners, all 10 of them, what it is that you're doing, where we can find you, and like what cool projects you're working on.
Okay, it's awesome. So I just started my own podcast. It's called Power Retrieval, and I'm super excited because. So I started to interview people, and then my team was like, nope, it's all about you. So what I do is I come in, like my last podcast was on not letting fear take control of your life. And they're quick, awesome tips that come through. And so I'm really excited, and people are loving it because it's quick. You get an inspiration and it's like awesome. So I'm starting that. Now I really love that. And I'm going to be starting a course on power retrieval. So you'll learn how to retrieve your power. Because what I think is making most of humanity stuck right now is fear. Bottom line, fear of moving forward, of not having the will. So basically the course will be about activating your will, right? And activating your heart. Because so many of us have just been beat up and crushed like crazy. So I'm doing that. And what else am I up to? I think that's it for right now.
All right. Well, cool. And so we can listen to your podcast I know you have it on YouTube. And is it on the podcast networks as well?
Yes, it is. It's on Apple, Shopify. It's on all of those networks. I don't even know all the names.
Yeah. Well, we'll have that linked below. So if you're watching this podcast interview on YouTube, all of those links will be below for your stuff. And if you're in wherever you're listening to podcast, there's like a million places to listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
If you're listening to those anywhere, those links will be in the description for those podcasts. So those will be available there, so that way they can find you as well as your social media links, and like your website link and all that kind of stuff. So that way the people can find you. So those will be available there.
And I forgot the most important thing. I do power retrieval sessions, and they are super powerful, and you will definitely be changed. I mean,
awesome.
It's incredibly powerful. And so I teach you how to reclaim yourself. We go up to the library beliefs, and we literally pull books out of your brain and throw them into the violet fire of the beliefs and patterns. And most of the time, the beliefs and patterns are from your ancestors, and we don't even realize it, what we're carrying around with us. So it's really cool. And it's been so much fun. I love talking to you too.
Yeah, thank you. This has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for coming on the podcast with us. And we look forward to seeing more of your stuff and checking that out. Hopefully our listeners check all that stuff out and enjoy what you have to say. This has been fantastic. I've had a ton of fun. This has been very eye-opening, very informative, and a good discussion. And
I feel like we're best friends now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the energy. It's positive vibes, man, which I'm super here for. Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah. I love it. You two are awesome. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we look forward to hearing from you at some time in the future. We'll probably circle back around at some time in the future with the interviewers and
we'd love to have you back.
And we'll definitely have you back at some point in time.
We didn't even do the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that's what
we're not even all the way there.
We're not even there. We've got so much things we can talk
I know. It's so fun. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful day. And I'm looking forward to sending me everything and then I can post it as well.
100%, yeah.
We'll shoot you an email through the email chain that we've had going on. Perfect. So that you can look forward to all the details.
Yeah, perfect. And then I want you to send me any information on what your work is with Instagram and all of that social media.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. We'll make sure to get you all that stuff also.
Please do.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much. And you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yeah.
Thank you too.
Bye. Bye.
All right, guys, we're back. That was a fantastic interview. We had so much fun. Oh, my goodness. So much information.
Yes.
So much fun. Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. Fantastic. Cannot wait to talk to you again. I hope you all had a great time out there listening to that. And we will catch you guys for more witchy goodness next time on this podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all of the things that you're supposed to do. And if you're watching this on if you're listening to this, I'm never going to get listening right. If you listen to this on Podcast Network, leave a review, and don't forget to check out all of Mary's links, which will be down below, or to the side, or above, or to the other side, wherever links go. So go check those out, and we will catch you guys next time. Stay magical, folks.
But first, thank you to our patrons.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Alan, Miranda, Alexa, Somewhere, Panda, and Brianna, and Helena. Boy, I read those out of order, and I don't know why.
That's insane. Why would you have done that?
Insane. I don't know. Yeah. My brain was like, randomized. Anyway, thank you to our patrons. You help us do what we do better every time and allow us to do really cool things like this interview and also our 3-year anniversary live stream, which is coming up.
Yep. So, it's going to be in December, so
early December.
You'll get a date at a time that's not right now.
Yeah, so get excited.
Prepare your bodies.
Clear those calendars or something
live
like
stream.
that.
It's a live stream. It's a live stream anniversary thing.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. Anywho, we will catch you guys next time. Stay magical, folks.
And don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.